Hey guys, this is Turok, and in today's video I'll be recording my review of chapter 1150 of One Piece. What is going on? Keep getting notifications that I don't need for Twitch people. So, yeah, as you can see, I got a new setup. I want to try this out. It feels weird having the camera directly in front of me because it partially obscures my view of the TV. I have a TV in front of me, and I use it to view some of the stuff here with uh, this when I'm reviewing it because I like how I have a touchscreen in front of me here and I have the monitors duplicating each other. Then I can control it easily without having to mess with the mouse. But it's just easier with this TV the way it is here to uh, what do you call it? I can't think of it. What was I just saying? It's easier to like look at the stuff on here with this, but I'll have another one here to check. Anyways, in the last chapter, we had a chapter focusing more on Scopper, and he attempted to stop the God's Knights himself, and he successfully defeated Summers. But when he got to what's her name? Gunko, we saw that he Scopper's son Colin accidentally revealed himself as Scopper's son, and Gunko was able to use him as a hostage to force Scopper to give up. And Scopper, the last we saw him, was pierced by 3 of her arrows, literally arrows, not like a bow, not like a thing used in archery. And she sent him falling to the underworld. And we still haven't seen the Straw Hats in a while, I just realized too. So the other Straw Hats, the ones down below, and hopefully they'll find Scopper. So at the end of this, after that happened here, we switched to, there it is. I should get this keyboard out of here. Let's think for a second. Ooh. I got a keyboard here, but it's kind of in the way. So after that, wait, where am I? Oops, this is touching, is it? Come on. Oh, go like that. You know what? I will have to keep this one tight. There. So, after that happened, we had this little weird flashback that happened where we saw that Broken Gunko had a history together, which had revealed why she felt that weird. She had a sensation. It's like we'll get more into that here because there's something else that happens in this chapter that kind of helps explain some of this. What's going on with the God's Knights, where like that I was speculating that she lost her memories from by becoming a God's Knight, and then they were slowly coming back to her because she met someone from her past, and I think that's partially why what happened at the end. At the end here, Imu comes in. He's like. We see here that too, and that Imu's got a real short temper. It focuses a little more on it. We get more on that in this chapter too, but we see that the Imu is probably sensed what was going on with Gunko, and so he possesses her and starts speaking through her at the end. And we saw that he was like, upset, like, why are you guys taking so long to finish this? And he talked about needing great numbers, and that's going to fall into this too. And so this gets very interesting here, and a lot of theorizing here would be fun to go over with what's going on here with the kind of powers he has. So actually, though, we go back. First, we do have another cover story. I thought maybe that the cover story was over for Yamato, but it looks like we're still one more here, and we see the I think this one is it might be kind of the end. It has a sounding of that, unless there's some other party or something at the end. But we see Yamato with page 1 and what's her name? Yulteri? Oh God, what's her name again? I keep forgetting. Page 1's sister, One Piece. Yeah, Yulti. I keep thinking Yuletide. What is that? Yuletide? That's something from Christmas. But they're at a shrine here together, And so they decided to put their past behind them and their differences with Yamato, and they joined her on her little pilgrimage as she was going around Wano, and because she saved them now from who's who, he captured them, and what did she do to Page? What did they do to Page One? They must have just had him. He was like tied up somewhere, I think, and they were using her. They had her connected to like a giant dartboard, and they were using throwing knives on her. And Yamato saved them from who's who. So uh yeah. So if someone's sword had to be enshrined, okay. Enma's shrine. Oh, who's Yusai though? I forget. Hold on, let me check that out. Oh, okay, yeah, it's the gentleman who the one of the it's the so they're laying the rest the sword of the other scabbard gentleman who the one with the pink hair, the big guy who passed away in the fight against Kaido. I forget what happened to him. He blew up. Where was he? He's somewhere. I forget what happened with the other when he got separated from the others after they attempted to fight Kaido themselves at the top of the dome before. This is before Big Mom and then before the other Yuffie and the others joined up there later to all fight together. That's the part I remember the most. But they went up. Them and Kaido squared off all together at the top. Were fighting for a while, and they ended up they couldn't beat Kaido even with their. And I think they did learn how to use the more advanced hockey. If I recall, I think I once questioned that when I was watching it and reading it. Well, no, I didn't start reviewing until Luffy awakened. Oh, I should put down. So I finally put my hands like this. Until Luffy awakened, right around the time Luffy awakened was right when I started reviewing these consistently. So I've been doing like 100 chapters now. But anyway, they they couldn't defeat him themselves even with their improvements. And yeah, so he ended up him and what's his name? The guy was on Whitebeard's crew, stayed on Whitebeard's crew for years. Both died during the fight. I remember he died. I think he just like had grave injuries. He fought the Cipher Pol agents who were pursuing Robin and Brooke to help stall him, and he was able to take that one guy out. And then the other guy was the one I think was ordered to make sure Luffy lost to Kaido later. Anyways, yeah, so his sword's being put in a shrine here somewhere in Hakumai, Enma Shrine. So it's a shrine. Does that mean it's a shrine that was originally dedicated to different shrines for Enma, and then wait, Enma's oh, I was thinking Shushui for a second. Enma is the sword Zoro has now that he already decided to give to him. That's interesting. Anyways, I shouldn't go. I don't know what I have to review that stuff so I understand this better. But it's it'll be interesting now to find out too with Page One and Ulti if they're. I was talking a few chapters ago about how I heard that their father was that other warlord who also was collecting zones, and then he got defeated by Ace. I'm wondering if there'll be anything that will come up about what happened to that guy and if he is their father. Anyways, let's get into the chapter now. Let's see. Let me see. So we start this chapter. This chapter is called Domai Reversai, which is some kind of a technique here we're going to see shortly that Imu does. And this is going to get interesting too, like where these powers come from. Like this is something I want to get into more when we get to that part. But we start off the chapter with seeing a bunch of giants, the ones that were coming to save the children. Actually, what are their names again? So there was the one. Here we go back a second. What was her name? Ranza? Wait, let me get the others. Yeah, there was Ranjo, right? Let me see. Angie. No, Angie's the teacher. Where is that bitch? Shit. Ranjo, right? Ranjo, yeah, and her father was one of these guys. Actually, I just noticed. I should try and do. I'll try and get this image up. I couldn't find a good image. I mentioned this a couple chapters ago, but there was a giant that looked kind of like caribou, and I couldn't find a good image of caribou to compare to, so I didn't put the image in. But this one here, this woman, this one female giant that they show up in this panel looks basically like Kuma's mother there. The way that she's drawn, she's got the long hair and the braids. But anyways, I just like seeing what Oda, because people were talking about that too the other day when what episode 1130 of the anime came out, and it showed the God Valley. They had Gloriosa there, and everyone kept saying, "Why does she look like Nami?" Whoever animates Nami obviously was like in charge of that, and she looked way too much like Nami than she would in the manga. Because a lot of people pointed out Oda has a tendency to make a lot of characters almost similar, very similar to Nami overall. Like Vivi definitely has that. Maybe Rebecca too. But that was too much similar the way Gloriosa was animated into the in the anime adaptation from that chapter. But yeah, I can see now and then where Oda does a little bit of that in the himself with some other characters. Now Caribou and now Kuma's mom. But I don't even think Kuma's mom ever got a name. I keep saying that because I don't know if their names were ever mentioned. Maybe he said it in supplemental material, but I haven't looked into that. Damn. So, as these guys are coming up to save the children, we got them being walked away. Where were they sending them again? Let's see. She pulled Ranja away. Let's see. Let me okay. And then he saved right here. Yeah, they just start sending him to walk away. After that, was Ranja still? I think she made Ranja come away after Angie agreed to. She had Ranja come off the plank, her arrow plank, and then the kids are just walking still. So, but wherever they're heading toward they're probably heading back toward the village maybe because the families here, the other citizens here, come up and meet them, intercept them, so to speak, and so we get to them catching up, and Colin's leading the group again, and he's still crying over what he saw happen. He starts telling them that, like, my dad fell down. We gotta save him. What? And then he points out, like, watch out. There's that lady did it. Be careful of her. And so she's. Where is she now? She's floating. They say, watch out. She's floating over there. So the other people start looking up like, oh God, who is that? What's that human doing there floating? And then the next second, as the kids are catching up to check, first of all, the other kids too. There must be other parents. There must be some of the other parents because some of them start saying, "Mommy, Daddy, thank you're here," and stuff like that. But as these guys get close, we start with the closest guy. One guy's got this funny haircut, and when he gets real close to Colin, suddenly you see, like, is that blood or is that just supposed to be a sound effect? No, it is like some stabbing sound. Did he get hit by the thorns or did Imu use Gunko's arrow? Something happens there where he gets stabbed there. I can't quite make out how Oda's drawing that. Let me see. Okay, it looks like there's blood there. And I'm just zooming in. And then you see him fall over. And the other kids are like, wait, what's going on? And it switches to Gunko just staring back. So well, it's still like Im. And we don't know him. I'm going to say she because it's Gunko's body. She's facing away. And looking back with that side eye look. And the next panel, it looks like he exudes his conquers hockey and then yells like silence. And it's definitely conquers hockey. I saw this before, but because it shows this panel where all these what's going on there? Yeah, the other citizens, the other giant adults that showed up, they we start seeing them pass out. They got the foaming at the mouth, and then it shows the children too start just like going over like this. They're still moving under the power. That's probably Killingham's power. Like I was I was assuming from the last chapter, but they they just like they're still moving under that power, but their heads all just nod off here, and then it shows we get another shot of like part of the Jägerstrahl in the village, and we're seeing the lightning just stream across there to showing its range here, as it were, to what it can do. Let's see here, yeah. And it switches next to showing this effect happening to Dory and Bragi have regrouped with their crew. They crashed after they were attacked by those dream conjuring things that look like they're some of the crewmates' wives. And they're running over. It looks like following suit to meet up where the other giants warrior citizens were at to help the kids. And we see that some of the other members are how did that work? They say how did Marco once say it? Like people who lack the metal. Uh, they're all, some of the other crewmates of them, their subordinates are falling down too from the power of the hockey. It doesn't work on Dorian Bragi. We see that one of them yell back like, "Hey, snap out of it! What's going on?" And it's like, and we get the effect too, seeing it. We get down to the village briefly, and we see Jarl with some of the other citizens, and we see a handful of them also just falling down, and the others just looking on like, what the hell is going on now? Especially Jarl. We get a brief look at Jarl, and he's like, what is this? It's almost like he looks very tense too. I'm almost wondering if he knows what this is. But he he looks very frustrated as well. Now this next scene is something I was confused on too, because we go back to Gunko, Imu controlling Gunko, and he pulls out this trident. Yeah, Gunko doesn't use a trident. I was thinking of Killingham. He has this trident in Gunko's hand, and then he summons a pentagram, and these two, I don't know what they were. At first they looked like, they reminded me of the boots from the Egghead, but there's some kind of barrels perhaps, and I think he's shooting stuff at the giants that are there, the other ones that didn't get knocked down. And, because it doesn't quite show it, it shows like this action effect. You get the shot with the giants down below, and then I think she's firing something at them. And it goes back to Gunko, and now you've seen Imu's possession has transformed her to a slightly different. Now she's got sprouted these bat wings out of her back, and and then she's holding out a black trident, and the wings are also black. Wait, is that? No, I was trying to think about. I was thinking about Oh, I gotta look now. Wait a minute. Who was it? I was thinking about Stussy because she turned into some kind of bat thing, but she didn't seem to exude any other power. So we've been assuming it's a zone. Now I gotta go check that actually. Hold on here. No, she did have those wings. She doesn't have the same wings here. This is in chapter 1072 when she takes out Kaku and then shows her. And then Oda gave her that new title card that she was a clone of Miss Buckingham Stussy. And the first successful clone, you see here that she has those bat wings also, but she never. Wait, let me see. Is still recording? Yeah, so she still has these wings, and then when Lucci attacked her, and that's all we ever see of that. We never get any explanation of her powers, but now we got this. Well, there is one thing different here. It looks like I think with Stussy's wings, when the main part come up, the main bend, I think Stussy had like these little hooks on hers, and the ones that are protruding out of Gunko just go straight up and peak kind of. There's no hook thing, right? Let me see. Where'd that just go? Where? Yeah, hers curve at the end, kind of like a little hook there, and the ones that Gunko have do not do that. Oh, come on. So now this must be Eam talking, and he goes like, "All resistance must be quashed." This is the, and then he starts berating Killing. Like, this is the best thing, Killing him. This is the best that your sleep tit can do. And so we switch to Killingham, and in Killingham's face, you can see sweat coming down his face. You can tell that all of them. This is just like what we saw with Saturn when he got defeated by not defeated. He was where was that part? Hold on, let's go to that a second. When Saturn at the end, we just see him starting to suffer as he was like holding his throat and everything when he just and then that black smoke coming from as Eam killed him. Wait, why is it doing it again? Hold on. Right. So, anyways, and yeah, he just destroyed him. Okay. Anyways, um, back to this. No, not this one. So back to this one. Yeah, you can tell here that the others know Eam power over them is like absolute and can just like take their life at like probably the snap of a finger. And Killingham responds to him like, no, the nightmare holes are still open. They continue to spawn monsters from every nightmare that's on the island. And the ones that have been defeated can be revived at any time of my command. And then he switches his attention. Eam switches attention to Summers. We switch to seeing Summers. We don't see Eam, but we see him talk to him. And he's like, Summers, lead the lines of those whelps, referring to the children. And so then we look on, we see the other Straw Hats there. One's still tied up. And they're like, wait a minute, how is Summers getting back up? Because they saw him his head had gotten cut off by Scopper, but now he's still regenerating. So Scopper, so we can now be certain too. Let's maybe, I don't know if he got chopped up into little pieces. We can see that even though Scopper, what Scopper did was still like temporary, insofar as like not really killing him. So now he's like, because we don't see him pull back together. We just see but we see him on the ground already back together, getting up. And then he responds to Eam like, "Oh, right away, hold on," and then he's like shaking too, which is probably more from fear than I don't know if he's like catching his breath from his recovery. Then we get the Straw Hats commenting on it, and Jinbei's like looking over at because Gonko was still nearby, right? Yeah, and Jinbei comments like, "That the same woman we did from before, she's different now. What's going on with her?" And then Nami's like, not Nami, it's Robin. Robin's like, where's Luffy and the others now? Because like they're still like tied up, they can't do anything. Nami says, yeah, Luffy and Zolo and Sanji, they down here. And I think it's either like Usopp or Brook say, yeah, they're Harunen's group and his group are not down there, are out here either. They're all down in the underworld. It's just our luck too. Now we really need them. And so then we switched. Robin then starts trying. Her hand starts sprouting from herself again, and she's trying to get once again get the thorn vines off of her. And again, she still doesn't seem to have any hockey. I can't tell. It's very unfortunate that she doesn't know how to use the basic armament hockey, the base one that we've been used to for so long now. And Jinbei's like, wait, what are you doing now, Robin? And because he had told her before, like, no, you shouldn't try and do that. You're just gonna hurt yourself. And she's like, I have to try and help. I can't just sit here and do nothing. Wait, what's going on? Come on, there it is. So Eam starts talking again, and he's like, no, the question is, with whom will we parlay with to use these whelps as bait? Which Summers was already doing. He was talking about Jarl, putting him in charge of this. But and I don't. Is he talking to Summers? It's kind of like talking to Summers, I guess. And Summers like, "Oh, absolutely, great one. This makes no sense. A kingdom without a king." And as he's talking here, we still see he's still not fully regenerated. We see his hand coming back. It's like hollow though too. If you look, it's like you see his glove, and there are bits of it still. It's not like going straight up. It's like going back together in parts, and there's like parts are that haven't regenerated. It looks like it's just hollow underneath there. Like he's not really even a flesh and bone anymore. Okay, and then he's commenting to himself, "That stupid Gaban, my body's in agony." So he's still in pain from whatever Gaban did use, Scopper used on him. So now we switch to seeing Gunko floating still with Eam still possessing her, and she turns and faces Dorian Brocky's group are catching up now, and Eam talks to them like, "Dorian Broggy, the blue and red ogre. Sorry, I will charge. I will charge." And you gotta listen to the way Eam is talking. We're getting this like kind of old English style stuff, kind of a Shakespearean almost. The specific line is, "I charge thee with dominance over this land." So I charge thee, like instead of saying like I put you in charge or some other way she could have. He said it. And the next line too, "Thou wilt be kings." And so they run up there, and who is that? Bragi, yeah. So Bragi sees Gunko and floating there, and like Gunko's at a height probably about parallel with them, and Bragi yells, "Are you at the Holy Knights?" And he runs up to Gunko, grabs her body, and it's like, "You're the one who's done this," type thing. "You've driven Elbaf to madness." And and so and then Bragi yells to the others, where are the others at where the kids are? And while he's holding he's holding Gunko actually in his left hand, and he says to Dory, "Go ahead, boys, go with him. I got this." And then the other Bragi, Dory's like, "Take care of yourself, Bragi." And then so the others pass by him and head over to try to help where the children are. I guess then Bragi turns his attention back to while he's holding Gunko and says, "Give back the children. How many did you take?" So he's trying to like just thinking he's got Gunko in his power. Like you're gonna listen to me now. And so Eam though he looked like he was crushing Eam's Gunko's arm, but in the next panel, Eam just sits there very calmly, so to speak, in Gunko's body, of course, still, and he puts her right hand out, and suddenly a book cuts coming creates like another pentagram thing, and a book conjures up. It looks like it's probably floating up out of it because he's holding it in the palm of his hand. The circle is in his hand, and kind of like this more like, and then the book just comes up, and so this is where you can tell Eam knows he's really in charge. He's the one in power in this situation, and he's like, "Understand this, Bragi. Thou wilt meet with Beard Hill Jarl and cut off his head and hold it aloft." I want to read these quotes too because you really can see the difference in his language too. And so then in the next panel, the book opens up, and so it's like she's using a spell out of there without even this is kind of stereotype with the spell books where like they can use a spell in a spell book, but they still have to like hold it. I guess you gotta like sometimes in those movies and stuff they have to like open the book and read it as well, and like in the spell you can't just like memorize it, I guess. But other times it seems that there's sometimes it'll be like this where you have to hold a spell book, but you don't have to always read it. And this seems to be that kind of case where he has to have the book with him, but then he and use its power by holding it. It's almost the same thing as where you have special weapons and you can use his ability, but in this case it's a book, but you still have to like have it in your hand. with you in your possession. And so he continues saying, then announce to thy people that we are the kings of Elbab. And so he's trying to do this to, he's deciding who will be put in charge here, I guess. And in this next panel, the book starts opening up. And this black smoke plume starts coming out of it. And the next panel then just shows Bragi screaming at Gunko, like, are you crazy? Never. You can't tell us what to do. This is our country. And then for Gunko or Im ignore this, and then the next panel, and the next we see that the smoke has conjured into a pistol and a dagger, and the pistol's got like a double barrel, but it's like a flintlock style pistol. And first, Im grabs the dagger and uses it to stab Bragi's hand, where he's being, because he's still being held, but he was using his. Ian was still able to use Gunko's hands, and then, he jabs this dagger into probably like his Bragi's fingers, and then Bragi's forced to let him go, and starts screaming like, "Ah, damn!" And the flintlock, then Gunko then jumps up, or Ian with the flintlock, and it's a giant one now. It looks like it's conjured to a size where it's like a cannon, really, in Gunko's body, compared to Gunko's body size, and then he points the gun at Bragi, this is, and then says, will not be for nothing. And the next shot, boom, just fires the flintlock, and it blows friggin' Bragi's entire hand and severs it from his wrist. And it says, this is gonna be something. I'm surprised. Oda's usually not so graphic with stuff like that, which is why, like in the anime recently, when they had that point where we saw Kuma's father get killed, and then they had that blood fall on Kuma's body, that was so graphic. Now they're like, ooh, someone's gonna have a good time here if they like doing this kind of drawing, showing this severing when they get to this shot. And then Ian continues by saying, "I give thee the power of evil." And then first we switch to some other, one of the crew members there who must have been observing this scene, and he's like, he yells it out like, "Oh, the captain's arm!" And I don't know if this is the same person or others. They start commenting, "What happened, Captain?" And another says, "I can't believe it. She took off his mighty arm." And yeah, there must be some others, because we switch to a different one who says, "She'll pay for this." And so, while Bragi's on the ground now, holding his arm there, and the hand is still sitting nearby, and Eames starts speaking again, and like, in exchange for some measure of thy lifespan, thou wilt receive an undying body and uncanny strength. It's almost like, this sounds almost like a spell, and yeah, she starts summoning a spell circle thing with the pentagram. And she continues, under fealty to Mu, thou art unbound by common sense and logic. This is important too. Demons are the only proper form for life to take. And so the shot switches to Bragi still on the ground, and then a circle appears underneath him. And then Eames says, "Diabolical covenant." And then the others are like, "Demons? What does she say? What's going on?" The others still observing nearby, his subordinates. And suddenly Bragi starts getting pulled into that pentagram, and like this like fire starts going around him. And he's like, I'm sinking. What's going on? And this is where the chapter's name comes up. Damai Reversi, screams, Eames says. And, oh yeah, she does something with her hand. There's this hand movements Oda shows. And, okay, yeah, so then Bragi's halfway down sinking. His feet were going first. It looks like a circular, like a hoop-shaped thing is around him, and he starts flipping upside down, and then he's going head first into the circle with his feet up, and the next second, the next, he starts coming back out, and he's got these colorless eyes. Maybe it's supposed to be like flames because they're like little lines coming out, and he's got suddenly grown all these fangs. And we switch to a shot of I forget this one guy's name. This is one of his main support. I think this is Broggy's. Yeah, this is one of the guys from Ennie's Lobby. I forget their name, and he's the one with the dark hair. They were the ones that were each were the lieutenants to Dorian Broggy, and he's like, oh, okay, we see him looking up, and why? And the next shot is Broggy now has grown to an enormous size. He's like, so this is where it gets interesting. He looks like he's about the size maybe of Ors, or perhaps even like what Jarl is, and his form has changed. Now he's got the big teeth. He's got big fangs coming up this way as well, and he had the ones coming down before. And now he had an axe. He was still holding his axe in his right hand when he went down. And now it's turned into a double. Was it still a double-bladed axe before? No, it was just a single blade battle axe. Now it's a double-bladed one. And he's grown wings. The dark wings are on him too. And now he's like, yeah, his outfit's the same. But I can't tell if that's supposed to be flames on him. Or there's like smoke or something around his feet. And you can tell the height difference is so much. It's like 4 times bigger now or so. No, maybe 3. Something like that. And we can see the scale. The other 3 of these other of his subordinates are standing there looking up at him. And they're like, wait, he turned into a demon. He's so huge now. And the other one's like, Captain Broggy, what happened to you? And so one of the other guys like, give him back now. Captain Broggy would never attack his own crew. He's got pirate's pride. And then the next shot, that guy starts finishing that. Those 3 guys are just Demon Broggy just swings his axe, and the 3 guys just go flying like a Team Rocket type thing, like blasting off. And now we see Broggy's getting filled with this like unbridled power, and he starts laughing like probably it's his same laugh, but he's like probably doing it more like evil. And I feel powerful. Nothing can stop me now. And then we hear some other people say, no, he's got Captain Dory too. And then the next shot, yeah, it didn't show what happened, but now we see him, and he's holding a pitchfork now, kind of like the same looking as the same one that Ian was holding once he possessed Gunko. And he starts doing his laugh too. And the same thing, he's got wings, and he's got the fangs growing out in the different ways. And then he's like, he starts talking to the other subordinates there. Come along, boys, it's time to kill Jarl, excuse me. And the others are like, Captain Dory, stop. No, we can't do that. Come to your senses. What about saving the kids? If you do this, our country is doomed. And the others are like, captains. And then suddenly is that they're trying to still talk to them. Do you see a fire coming up around them? And they get all sucked in too. Some of them, we start seeing more of them coming out. The other subordinates that were with Dorian Broggy, they're all starting to turn into these demonic forms as well. Also, I forgot to mention they got the horns, the Oni horns. I think I forgot to say that when it should show that. Did they show that with Broggy? Yeah. I think I forgot to mention that. They're all growing those Oni horns, which I think is very important here because this gives me something that's there I'm wondering about with this, especially when you look at their size. So it's like then we see as the other guys are transforming, we see one of the other subordinates who hasn't changed. They're like, no, not you guys too. And wait, I can't see this panel here. Let me pull this up. Right here. Yeah. The next panel is just showing more and more of the other guys that were close, the ones that were nearby Dorian Broggy. It just seems to have like an area effect, and they start saying it too. Anyone getting too close to them are all getting sucked in now. And then they're you see that like going down feet. They're like you can see the transformation. It pulls them down feet first initially, and then they twist as they go down. They're like the thing swivels over, and then they sink in head first, and then they come back out, standing back up head first, and then they're all demonic. And the other's like, yeah, someone else starts pointing out, were they changed because they were standing too close? Keep your distance, guys. And as this is happening, we switch to Gunko's face. You can see her still with the Eam's still possessing a guy. You can see Eam's eye still, and he's just like staring on there. And in the next panel, we get this great double spread here. We see Dorian Bragi with some of the subordinates flanking him, and then behind them, the Killingham's conjurers are coming back. We got the Fenrir Wolf, the electric one. I think that was one I went to Frankie earlier, and then the dragon one, and then finally one of the Onis too. And someone's, I think, yeah, this must be Eam. Is like not bad. So this is the power of Elbath, meaning like under his control though. And we get this shot where they're huge here. All the other giants who got transformed also have grown in size, and you see some of the other subordinates running away that didn't get caught up in the demonic quicksand. I'm gonna just loosely call it that. Try to pull in, and they're fleeing from these guys now. So now Eam's like, it will not. He's going the Elbath will not be destroyed, but preserved and ruled over. And then he's like, perhaps it's time to stay and watch and see how useful they will be in war. And this happens. We get these little shots of just Killingham and Summers, and then Dorian Bragi. So the last shot, we're at the end here now. We switch to the village, and the other villagers are saying, King Jarl, you must flee. They're going to come for you. Something's wrong with Captain Dorian Bragi. Run for your life. Because they know that he's going to, because they heard, because Eam's been, that's the thing I didn't really, iterate right, is Eam has been talking in a way I think where other people may have been hearing. I don't know if he was somehow still connecting to the special snail they got there, the one that Killingham and Summers were using to initially try to negotiate their piety, the giants giving up their the last shot is just Jarl saying, he's got this determined look, and he's like, never tell a warrior to run from battle. And it just ends there with like I don't know what that sound effect's supposed to be. But that's the end of the chapter, and holy shit. So something here there's two things to point out. One, Dorian Bragi and the others were transformed against their will here. This is very interesting, and this is where I think goes back to Gunko too. I wonder if Gunko was turned into a god's knight against her will. And you can see how the power is like, it's like, I was just playing, yesterday I was playing a little bit of, trying out the Jedi Fallen Order game, and I was thinking about the dark side when I was reading this too, and how this is the same thing where if you turn to the dark side, the power, in that case, you, in the Jedis and the Sith, if you have a choice in turning to the dark side, but like, your emotions can make you easily want to sway and use the dark side's power, then it becomes very like a habit of sort where they can't stop it. In this case, Eam has an ability here. It's like a lord over this thing where he can turn others against their will into these demons that are subordinates to him, are subject to his orders. And I wonder if this is like what the other God's Knights were like initially when they transform, and then they don't. Well, no, because the others don't have an appearance like this. That was the thing too. When Bragi first transforms, I forgot to mention when he swings his axe and knocked away those other subordinates, Team Rocket style. I forgot to mention you can see his hand that Eam had just shot off starting to grow back onto there. So there's something here, and we don't see his other hand. I think that's not his real hand anymore. I think he's just grown back a new one. And what was that? Hold on. Shoot. All right, where was it? Yeah. This is very interesting how this power can do this to them without any kind of consent from the people doing it. And I wonder though if this has partially to do with the lack of hockey again. I feel like I wonder if hockey will somehow come into this, because we saw examples of now the hockey that something that Emmett still had, the robot used to defeat the well, he didn't destroy anything, but defeat like force back the Gorosei. The other four got sent back to Marijois, and the other guy and Saturn got transformed. They all got transformed back into the regular forms. And then Scopper is using something with that armor, and that was like a Conqueror's hockey advanced one. And then we see Scopper is using like probably an even more advanced of uh, armament hockey to harm the God's Knights. Oh, I lost my train of thought again. Yeah, the hockey, the advanced hockey here that's being used here, that is initiated here, is something interesting. Next, I want to bring up too the fact that these are becoming demons. I'm wondering what Oda's going to go for in adding demons as part of this thing and where they come from. With the because we've had a bit of tidbits across the story about the idea of a sea goddess, or is that the mother sea or something like that? I forget how Oda's framed the labeling, the naming of that, but it has to do with the devil fruits and how the users of devil fruits can no longer swim when they once they've eaten one. And I'm wondering if this is something that's where I'm thinking too, maybe the term devil fruits is more of a stigma name given by people or even initiated by the world government. And even though there's something about them that makes having those powers makes the sea goddess angry, they're not truly like an evil power. They're not a devil. Like we saw that idea. I did that short the other day when I was talking about Jabra and how he said, oh, if two people get together, he was talking about how the devils inside will come out and fight each other. And he was mistakenly thinking about the how what it is you can't eat two devil fruits, and most people can't, and then they'll destroy themselves. And but that's what that one is. Actually, I just noticed that other conjured thing in the back left is not an Oni, but it's one of the wives, because it's got the frying pan. Anyways, yes, I'm wondering if this is actually more of an evil power that has to do with some kind of dark god or something like that, an evil god thing. So Imu might actually be some kind of god thing that lives in the Marijwa, or maybe it's something that possesses. That would be the thing too. When you bring up gods, there's like two versions of how they usually have gods in certain stories, and that the two versions being can they exist on Earth? They usually have like what did they call it? Some of those old fantasy books. I think it was like a plane of existence, and typically sometimes what I have is that these gods can't exist here in their own form. They're like pure energy or something like that. They live in these other realms and they can't come to Earth unless they inhabit a human body or another living animal like that or something. And I'm wondering, I'm bringing this up because Eames now possessing Gunko and exuding, and his consciousness is basically there, even though he's over there in Marijwa. And I'm wondering if in the same thread where some people were thinking maybe that Eam is actually Vivi, that I can now see that more, because maybe Eam could be some kind of entity from this other realm that maybe Eam is from this other realm and then is inhabiting a human body, and that's how he's been living here and living in and being alive all this time. Is that maybe it's just a natural power, that an unnatural power, not natural, controlling another human's body. And what else was I going to say about that? I'll come back to that later. The last thing I want to bring up that was really bugging me is I wonder if this this goes back to ores. And I'm going to bring this up quickly here. Ores, take a look at this. How do you do this here? Is this going to show up on... No, I can't. Oh, wait, that's right. Duh. Hold on a second. I'm doing this wrong. I thought I had my share screen type thing. If you look here at ores, you can see something very interesting, especially... come on. Where's my thing? Yeah, alive. Wait. Well, that's ores a third. But look at the horns and the teeth. They don't have, he doesn't have the same teeth exactly as Dorian Broggy got. They got these ones where they're, hold on. Let me turn this off now. There are these, pieces here where they got the fangs coming down too, right? Let me see. Wait, let me do that again. Yeah, Oars just has teeth coming up, but they also have the fangs coming down. Where is that now? I don't need both of you. Oh, no, I do. Okay. Hold on a sec. Why is that dog barking now? Anyways, my point is, I wonder if the Oars are actually some kind of race that were like these giant, and what happened here to Dorian Broggy and their subordinates, where they really are, what they really are, is they were demonic beings that escaped the control of Eam. 1 second here. Get that back up. Yeah, here we go. Come on. Oh, I don't need two of you. Because if you look here at the, what's going on? If you look here at the height of them compared to the others, this kind of fits too with the idea of what we saw with, not the idea, but the height we saw of the Oars compared to giants. When we first met Oars, the original one that Moria found, his corpse, the corpse of that Oars, that as Moria took and turned used a shadow to bring it back to life. The height matches relatively to what we see here with these giants, the Dorian Brog and the others, transformed into bigger forms. Obviously, they don't have the wings here. The wings are one thing that's different compared to the what Oars has. He's just with the other aspects of this, the horns and the fangs and the sides, really make me think that this is some extension of what Oars was once upon a time. So this too, and then of course that means that. No, that doesn't mean anything. Well, I'm just thinking about like Kaido and the other giants we see here that also have horns now. So we know that meant they talked about that earlier where they were oops, I'm doing that again. That they were they have some of these giants here have blood from the Oars, a relationship with the Oars in the past, which I thought was weird at first, but then I just remembered too, of course, that Scopper somehow conceived a child with a regular giant here to have Colin. So the giants having a relationship with a bigger version of things is not that, now it doesn't seem so weird. We just don't know how that really will work. I'm just thinking about like artificial insemination type stuff. But anyways, yes, there's something here with this going on. This is amazing now. The thing, the curveball Oda has thrown at us now of what the hell is going on here with these giant, what Eam can do. Because now this also makes me think that the Gorosei did not have devil fruits. We were thinking about this. We had this whole conversation before, and about whether or not they had these Oni devil fruits. But the thing that kept bothering me was the form that it was both of them. It was Ethan. Well, no, not Ethan. I think it was more to do with it. Was it Mars? Whoever one could turn into a bird. He looked like an undead thing. He had a skeleton when he transformed. So now I'm of the mindset that when these God's Knights and the Gorosei, the powers they're endowed with are like a special level above what they've done here to Dorian Broggy, because they all look uniform in the appearances they've gained. They all got the wings, they all got the horns. And also, I mean, Eam's doing that to Gunko, but I'm wondering if maybe it's just only the Gorosei, but they had the five had the very unique transformations. They both had the spider, the bird, the horse, what kind of a centaur, the sandworm, and who did I miss? I forget, but I'm of the mind now that they definitely were not devil fruits, but they're being endowed with these different powers. And I'm just wondering if this is something different than devil fruits too. Like the devil fruits we know are the essence of that. An essence goes back into a fruit once a person dies and they eat it. But it's I'm bringing that up because usually when there's like a light, I'm thinking of like a light and dark yin yang type thing in here where there might be something different. The devil fruits aren't what we thought they were um, before, because this is clearly something that's magical and also evil, and something, well, not evil, but they're creating these things that are demons. And I wouldn't necessarily call this evil. This feels more like a, well, it's evil in the sense of what Eames doing, but that's like when they're transforming, it doesn't necessarily, they're not actually evil, but they're having like a power trip right now, I think. But well, now we'll have to wait until the next chapter. No, wait, because they did say he's like listening. No, yeah, they're being forced to transform into this by Eames, so then they're listening to him. So I was gonna say that they could still be good, but no, they have to. They're maybe if they consented to some, maybe if they transformed into some other way where it wasn't Eames forcing them, they wouldn't be clearly evil, but they're clearly under his control. Dorian Broggie and the others are now under Eames' control, and it's something doing with that magic. He keeps pulling. He had that spell book, and that spell book's important now too. Where did that book come from, and is that like part of the source of his power, and how he does this thing to turn them like that? And that brings back another question too. Somebody brought this up. I saw a comment somewhere about this. I don't think I brought this up before, but it was a good point. They talked about that place where Kuma sent Brook, and those people were trying to summon stuff. And someone pointed out they were probably trying to access this realm, this thing that Eames clearly able to do easily when they had created a I think they had a pentagram there, and then they did that, and I think Brook just dropped down, and then they thought he summoned out of the circle, but he didn't. And there's something else too. Brook has a power that lets him access stuff in the underworld. Is that separate from a demon realm? They usually do that in books. Stuff where a demon realm is different than a underworld. The underworld usually just where spirits go when they die of any kind of race, maybe other than demons. I don't know about how they do that with demons. Actually, I saw that too with there's a video game called Darksiders in that series, and in there's heaven and hell with angels and demons, but there's also a separate underworld ruled by a king, and that's where souls come through of all kinds. And the main characters are these race called Nephilim that are they're created from the essence of demons and angels, but their souls, the underworld king one time mentions, because the souls never went to the underworld, and the other Nephilim are dead, and he says the other souls never came through. Anyways, yeah, the demon realms are often not associated with like hell, but in like modern like Christianity or mythology type stuff associated with that. But in here, I think in this and other things, usually a demon realm just means demons are these other entities that are usually crude and nasty and mean, and they want to take over other realms, and they got the horns and the wings. So and that's usually different than the realm of death or whatever, where humans and other souls go to die. Anyways, yeah, I'm bringing that up because of Brook again. I'm wondering what Brook's accessing that power of the underworld, I think, is different than what Eam is doing here. It would be interesting to see if Brook could do anything here, but because we saw Brook can do stuff with souls, he was able to fight off Big Mom's power. He negates her souls, the soldiers and other things she has, but we don't know here. So there's a lot of questions with that, and we'll have to wait and see. I just trying to fathom too, how is it that the auras are different? I really want to know if the auras thing is associated with this. Also, the hockey thing. That was the last thing. Hockey. How is hockey have anything to do with like this kind of opposite force of this? I'm wondering if these guys had strong hockey, if they would have not been able to be, they would have exuded it and like, no, you can't have me. If they could have negated the circles growing underneath them. And also, that I'm just thinking, isn't Zoro's sword called that can cut through to hell? Now we'll have to see if there's any kind of tangible, like realistic meaning of that. What that means? Or if that was just more like how powerful Enma is. And yeah, I think that's all I got on that now. I just like, holy shit. The stuff with this is this, the questions this brings up and what he did, Eamon's doing, is extremely interesting. What was I going to say that with the godsons? Yeah, and the fact that she had this wings, I still want to know too if that has something to do with Stussy. She again transforms into something like this, but her wings were different. And also, Stussy didn't have horns, I think, right? Let me pull that chapter up. I got that here. She never conjured anything. Did she ever tail? She had the wings. No, she didn't have a tail. She only produces wings off her back, and they're more like bat wings, like I said. And yeah, no tail, no horns, and she bites them. Did it show if she has like vampire teeth? Let me see here. No, I see her lips. Oh, yeah. She's got vampire-like teeth instead. They don't come out as much like the saber-toothed tiger kind of look that Oars and Dorian Brock and the others got. It just shows her teeth being more like a vampire. So what she's doing seems quite a bit different than compared to the others. So I don't know if there's any relationship to what she can do. If that's just like she inherited a devil fruit power of a zone vampire bat thing from Buckingham or something. So it's just the appearance seems to be kind of coincidental, but you can see it's a little different too at the same time. So anyways, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.